Local high-performance automotive customization shop IssyFab, located in Princeton, Ontario. The owner, Jeff Wybrow, opened up IssyFab in January 2020 with the goal of building some of the coolest hot rods and custom show cars around. We were invited to their end-of-season Cars and Coffee to showcase some of the great modified vehicles. These include a 2002 Chevy S10, a 1968 Pontiac Lemans, and we take a drive in a fully custom 1989 Ford Ranger GT. Stay tuned.
Hey, I'm Jeff Wybrow. I own IssyFab Speed Limited. We've been in business now almost 5 years. This has been a dream of mine that I didn't really know I had. And I guess I've kind of been into cars my whole life, so this seemed like a natural path to wind up here. Basically, growing up, we didn't really have a whole lot to do with cars until I got my driver's license, and that sort of changed everything. I was always into BMX and mountain bikes and things like that. And then I got my driver's license, and that changed everything for me. Got into cars almost immediately, started tearing them apart, and it led to this. So my first car was a 1991 Honda Accord, which looking back seems funny. But anyway, I was 16 and I bought this car for $1,000. It was a rotten pile of junk, and I wound up taking it apart in my mom's driveway. It was, for lack of a better term, a disaster. So through a lot of begging and a lot of coercing with my mom and my grandma, I wound up being able to clean out a spot in the garage at our grandparents' farm, which turned into my first shop. Yeah, so spent a lot of years there with this Honda, and eventually it went to scrap. But that's where the name IssyFab comes from. My grandma's name was Isabel, so the first shop was at her farm, obviously. My grandpa used to call her Izzy and spelled it every time in a letter or card that it spelled it ISSY. So that's where IssyFab came from. My first house actually is on Isabel Street, which is spelled the same as her name as well. And we actually started the business in the garage at that house. So it kind of came full circle that I was able to sort of pay homage to her because I got my first start really because of her. So after obviously falling in love with cars and having this Honda, I originally wanted to be a dairy farmer growing up naturally with the grandparents' farm, but the love of cars kind of took over very rapidly from that. And I pursued a career as a GM auto mechanic. So I'm a GM licensed mechanic. And then I continued to fart around with cars after hours with my own stuff mostly, continuing to try to grow my abilities, I guess. And when I was 24, I got a job at another hot rod shop, worked there for 4 or 5 years, learned a lot. I'm still really close with the owner of that place, and decided that the commute was not really worth it for me anymore, and I went back to a GM dealership in Woodstock. And then kind of without a plan of ever having my own shop, I was just happy to be, 2 or 3 minutes from my house again and working regular hours again. And sort of a few years down the road, the owner of the dealership is a big hot rod guy and found out that I was building hot rods and things of that nature on the side. And we started working on a car together at the dealership. And then COVID happened. They gave us the option to sort of have 2 weeks off to flatten the curve or whatever you want to call it. So I kind of begged and pleaded to let the owner of the dealer take the car home so I could work on it from home. And kind of the only way that it worked out is if I had a business number and was able to invoice the guy for the work on the car through that. So I started a business number. I started working on his car from my garage. And for about 6 months, every 2 weeks, the shop manager would call me and ask me if I wanted another 2 weeks. They were still slow at the time. And through 6 months of these 2-week phone calls, he just called and he said, "Hey buddy, I think you better come get your toolbox. I don't think you're ever coming back." And that was the start of it. So there was never really a game plan to start my own shop or to do it professionally again. but here we are. So at the shop, we do a lot of high-end, like custom fabrication, a lot of custom engine swaps, full vehicle builds, pretty much anything that's, you know, minus interior stitching or paint work. So we have a lot of customers coming through that are getting LS swaps, new crate engines, rebuilds, things of those nature, full builds. We've got Phil's S10 in here right now that's getting a whole bunch of metal work. And then painted. We've got a Corvette behind me that's getting a brand new LS3 crate engine. We do a lot of turbo fabrication kits, a lot of LS turbo fabrication especially. For the first time in 4 years, I've got my own truck in here, which is a 2014 Sierra, which is being LS swapped with a big single turbo on it. And yeah, we do a lot of custom fab and a lot of high-end, you know, full builds. So that's kind of where we're at. So going forward, I think I'd like to really focus on the full builds of the shop, really get some higher end builds with our name attached to them. I'd really like to get a few cars to shows like Syracuse and the Good Guys series and, you know, Detroit Autorama and things like that. I'm really enjoying putting really nice driver cars together for people with new crate engines and AC and cruise control and all that. When we bought this building a couple years ago, I really thought that it was going to be plenty big enough, but I can see in the future probably, hopefully doubling the size of the building. I've got two guys that work here now, Jesse and Will, and they're great, and I really hope to never have to hire anyone else. We work as a team very well. The chemistry is very good in here, and we have all our own roles that we know that we need to play. So for nothing else, I'd like the space. But yeah, I'm very happy with where we're at and where we're headed. So every summer we do a Cars and Coffee event on the first Sunday of every month. We get about 5 or 6 of them a year, depending on the weather. We're in Princeton, Ontario, which is just about 15 minutes east of Woodstock. We're right in between Woodstock and Brantford. We have an entire parts division here as well, so we can supply you with any hot rod or aftermarket parts that you need. And yeah, we just do the Cars and Coffee. You're more than welcome to stop by and check out the shop.
All right, my name's Steve Ballantyne. I'm from Niagara, and this is my '68 Pontiac Lemans. I've had this car for 15 years now, and I guess you could say my older brother got me into cars. He was part of a car club, so I kind of tagged along with him and all of his friends, and that's what kind of got me into wanting to build something for myself. So I wanted something a little different from what everybody else had. So I went on the search for Facebook Marketplace, found this car about 30 minutes from where I live, and the build process began. So the car is bagged. It started with a big block. I eventually swapped that out for an LS. So it's a 6-liter LS with a 400 behind it. Twin turbo, makes about 700 to the wheel. And it's just a fun street car. I have had to the track. It runs high 11s, and it's just a fun car to cruise around town. I can throw my kids in the back, and you know, for a 4,000-pound car, it moves pretty good. So this car was my guinea pig. This is what I learned to do everything on. The paint, the bodywork, I did it all myself in my garage. Shaved the door handles, the mirrors, antenna. I wanted to make the car look as sleek and smooth as possible. And the color is actually a Honda color. It's fire pepper red. and it just seemed to work with the car. Like, everyone loves the color. The interior, not fully finished, but I did have to do some customizing. The center console I actually pulled out of a Pontiac Grand Prix, and it seemed to fit in there relatively well. The center section of the dash and the rear deck lid, you know, just made it out of some MDF and wrapped it in fiberglass and painted it. So just to kind of clean up a little bit. Obviously I still have to go a little further yet, but that will all come in time. Next on my to-do list for this car is I would like to finish the interior, you know, put a headliner in it, new door cards, stuff like that. I do want to do a change up with the wheels. It's just about time to try a different size, different fitment.
My name is Phil Chalette. My truck here is a 2002 Chevrolet S10. So I got this truck in 2007. It was kind of an early inheritance to me in order for me to not take the bus to college. The promise was the truck was supposed to stay stock. That's where I got the license plate "Sorry Mom" from. It was called "Sorry Mom, no Mom, it'll stay stock." Within the first month I had it lowered. I put a tonneau cover on it, shaped the tailgate, and at that point it did not stay stock. In 2009, I did the air ride suspension on it. That kind of spiraled into, I drove it for about a year in that stage, and then afterwards I found a motor for it, pulled out the stock motor. Once we pulled the stock motor out, we saw the fuel lines had to be redone, then the brake lines had to be redone. At that point, we stripped the chassis down, sandblasted it, bodyworked it, painted the chassis, and it just all spiraled from there. So the motor in the truck is from a 2003 Corvette. It's an LS6. It's got a supercharger on it by Magnuson. That came out of an SSR pickup truck. It's also got a 4L65E transmission in it. So pretty much from top to bottom has been reworked on it. Small cam in it. Just meant to be a good daily driver. So right now it's got a set of 15-inch by 12-inch wide tires on the back. To accommodate that, the bed has been widened. We've also got a custom fuel cell in it. Jeff has done all the exhaust work on it. It's all stainless, front to back, that he's done himself. Rear end is a upgraded 8.5 from an S10, built to handle the power from the motor. Realistically, we're thinking the motor's going to hit around the 500 horsepower mark. We're trying to keep it to the fact I can drive it to and from work, but we'll have enough power for the size of the truck. I'm not trying to go overboard with it. It's not going to be raced. It's just going to be a good cruising truck. So the next round of work being done to it, we're going to be redoing the firewall and the wheel tubs to kind of get it a little bit more covered and clean for the inside so the debris does not get into the engine bay. The hood will go back on. The bed, like I said, it was a stock bed that we've widened by 8 inches to make it look like a miniature dually bed. The inside's been all bodywork with mirror fenders. Those will be painted bodywork. Run a fuel neck up to the top of it. The interior's got a 59 El Camino dash. That'll be leather wrapped with some paintwork done to it. I've got BMW bucket seats for it. We'll build a console between the two, put a little bit of stereo in it. Again, just make it something comfortable, cup holders, somewhere to put the wallet, somewhere to put the phone, make it a nice drivable truck. Moving forward too, now that Jeff is doing a lot of CAD work on his own, he's been sending me some files to machine some parts for some of his other customer vehicles. Now that we've got this truck in here and I've got more time, he's gonna start designing up some knobs and trim for the interior, plan to machine those out of aluminum, which is what I do as a daily job. Try to tie what he does into what I do into this truck and kind of have it all be one solid form. So this truck's been quite the project. It's been off the road since 2011. Jeff has played a huge part in this. Moving forward, me and him are gonna be able to work together on it. He can put his touches on it. The skill work is there. Get it out on the show field, show it off, get his name out there, get my name out there, and then maybe move on to the next project.
This is my 1989 Ford Ranger GT. I've had this truck since I was 16. Actually, it was my 16th birthday, present in 1998. So it's been a while. It's a bit of a long story, but long story short, my dad took me to a Take Your Kids to Work day. I saw a lower truck for the first time, fell in love with it, and then started scouring the Auto Trader magazine from back in the day. Found it, fell in love with it, and she's still here. I think the only thing that's left stock on this thing is the hood. So it's a full custom truck, top to bottom, frame up. So it's funny, I didn't actually want to be in cars at all. I didn't even want my license. I purposely failed my driver's license the first 2 times because I didn't really want a vehicle. But my old man convinced me, and he was an old vanner back in the day, and he took me to a Take Your Kids to Work day once, and he designed software for Midas Muffler and Muffler Man and whatnot, and he took me to one of the garages. I saw a lower truck, fell in love with lower trucks, and that's kind of what brought me to want this thing, and that's just where the whole thing started. So we started looking through the auto traders and whatnot. Funny enough, I didn't actually want a Ford ever. I wanted an S10 or a Mazda, and this one was just in one of the books, one of the old auto traders. I still have it. I had circled it 1,000 times. We went to go see it, and I fell in love with it when I saw it, and I became a Ford guy instantly, and that's where we're at. So I've had this thing since I was turned 16. So it was my first vehicle. I've had it since I was 16, and she's still here, and she's not going anywhere. I love it. Every part of my life is because of this truck. So I started building the truck maybe a year after I bought it. The paint was actually pretty rough when I first got it, and started with stereos way back in the day. My dad, he came home one day and we were working on stereo stuff, and he got so upset that he thought I was going to ruin the truck because we were cutting out an interior panel to fit a sub box, and he got pretty mad because he thought I was just going to destroy it, and that's where it started. So I started with stereos, and then had the truck painted, did some interior work, and it just kept snowballing, man. We did wheels. I had a TV and a PlayStation 1 in this thing back in like 2001, and I just fell in love with the scene, and it just kept going. Once you get bit, it's hard to stop. Once you get bit, you're done. You're basically done. So I got done. That's what led us to this right now. This right here. This build itself. This is a full frame up actually. So this truck was pulled right down to the frame. We rebuilt the whole suspension. It's got a Mustang 2 front suspension clip, cantilever rear suspension, narrowed front end, narrowed rear end, custom tubular upper and lower arms with uniball suspension geometry. It's got 11 inches of clearance in the front and 13 inches of clearance in the back for the suspension. And it's got a Mustang high output 5 liter. It's been bored 40, so it's 40 over with an E303 cam. Port and polished heads, Edelbrock 650 carburetor. So she's pretty. She's tame for what it is. About 300 horsepower would be my guess. So the truck was built in a 2-car garage in Cambridge. So this is not a shop built truck at all. We literally built it on jack stands with a MIG welder and angle grinders. Like, this thing was as mini truck as you can get. Built by a bunch of hoodlums that had no idea what they were doing. So yeah, I learned everything on this truck from the frame up. Even all the body work, the interior. Truck now has a 63 Galaxy dashboard that's been cut and narrowed. All the interior is custom. The seats are out of a Cessna airplane. Even the seat belts, we have airplane style buckles for the seat belts. We wrap the graphics, which I'll tell you in a second about, onto the door panel, so you can actually see when the paint wraps into the door panel, the lines actually go somewhere instead of just stopping. The outside of the truck, it's an 89 GT. From my understanding, they only brought about 500 of them to Canada, and only 4 or so long beds. I had no idea how rare the truck was, but that's why the truck has a body kit on it. Every color on the truck is a Ford OEM F-150 color, and there's 10 of them on the truck. So I actually have paint pens for each one, so if I ever get a stone chip, you can just touch it up with a paint pen, so it's pretty cool. Every graphic has a nod to a car from history, so the Meteor, the Falcon, and the Galaxy all had different body trim lines, and the graphics on the body actually mimic those. We shaved everything, so taillights, gas door, handles, all that stuff. It's got an Explorer grille with a custom billet insert. The taillights are all AVS clear, and they've been cleared into the paint. It's as custom as it can get. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but you know, it's a labor of love, man. I love it. So the Ford stamp in the tailgate, we moved the Ford, the stamp that's in the tailgate, we moved it from the gate up to the back wall, and we moved the corrugation from the back wall down, so everything looks stock. I have a lot of people that have always, I had a Ranger back in the day, and does my truck have all these parts? And it definitely doesn't. So the only thing stock in this truck right now is the hood, and that's basically it for the custom body work on the vehicle. So yeah. So yeah, my dad got me into the truck way back in the day. I found out after I had it for a couple of years that he was an old vanner. So he had all the custom vans and stuff in the 70s and all that. So I kind of got my love from vehicles from him. Every part of my life is intertwined with this truck. I'm part of Acrophobia, which is an unbelievable custom car and truck club out of Florida. All of my best friends are in the car scene. They're in Acrophobia. They're in the car scene. Even my daughter, my truck is actually sponsored by Cadence Car Audio. So Cadence Sound, thank you Cadence Sound for sponsoring the truck. But my daughter's name came from Cadence Car Audio. So we actually named my daughter Cadence, and it's because of the stereo brand. Every sticker on this back wall, they're all from all the friends of mine that have worked on the truck with me. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so I was lucky enough to do most of the logos for all of my friends and whatnot on their companies, and they in turn, we started working on this truck kind of all together at the same time. And the truck's called Square One because everyone started kind of getting professional with this truck. So everyone kind of started at Square One with this truck, and it's the Square One. There's only one of these around, and it's a square truck, so that's where that came from. So this truck is definitely a labor of love from everybody I know, and it wouldn't be where it's at now without them.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Cruise TV Canada. If you would like to feature your car, event, or automotive business on future episodes, please reach out to us on our Instagram. Until next time, I'm your host, Stephanie Lastoria, and we will see you cruising out on the open roads.